What's happening, everybody? My name's Jon Denton and welcome to State of Play. Now, in this week's show, I'm just going to be talking about why games matter to me. Alright, so quite honestly, I don't know how this video is going to go. I'm just talking straight from my head. There's no script. I have a loose idea of what I want to say. Previous episodes of this show have been centered around topics or perhaps controversies that are happening in the games industry. And nothing's really happening of any real interest, and I kind of realised that I don't necessarily want to be jumping on anything that might be slightly controversial at all times anyway. So why not just talk? So the topic today is why video games matter to me. Why have I dedicated so many years to this medium? Why have I turned it into a career? Why do I want to talk about it on the internet? Why do I want to write about this subject? And I decided to try and just talk honestly and openly about this subject without really scripting it or really nailing down exactly what I want to say, because quite honestly, that's how I write. That's how I've always written. I'll have a loose idea, whether I'm writing a game review, whether I'm writing an article, whatever it was. Even back at towards the end of school, I'd have a loose idea of what I wanted to say, and then most of the thoughts and ideas would come out as I write, and that's always been my process. And that's where I think the best stuff I've ever done has come out of. It's just sort of happened, and I don't know, you enter a kind of flow state. I don't know if you write or play music or, of course, play video games. People will be familiar with the flow state, sports as well, all sorts of things. And that definitely happens to me when I write. And I don't know necessarily if it's happened to me when I'm talking it, but I think ultimately to get where I want to get in terms of doing this, that's the way I'm going to do it. So, long story short, why do video games matter? Well, I'll start by saying ultimately video games don't matter. You know, there's a hell of a lot of stuff going on in the world at the moment, whether in the UK with the upcoming general election. You might have watched this after it's already happened, with, you know, like all sorts of stuff that I don't even really want to go into details. So ultimately, you know, the anger and rage and fire that people thrust into the video game space compared to the real world, it doesn't matter. But on the flip side, I think there's something actually quite beautiful and important about having a real passion for an art form. And, you know, I absolutely love music. I studied film at university. I'm definitely a cinephile. And obviously I love the written word, but video games seems to have been, throughout my whole life, the thing that I've gravitated to the most. And it's been hard to try and work out exactly why, apart from the obvious stuff. They're fun, they were more fun than toys. When I was really young, I didn't have access to them. Other people did, other kids' houses and stuff. So when I was 8 and I finally got an Amiga and then 9 a Game Boy, I think that period of denial of actually having it in the house made it all the more special. But even that, how's that gone on for, 35 this year? Been writing about games for 12 years and been a professional in the video game industry, surrounding industry for that amount of time as well. And it's hard to try and figure out exactly what it is. I think it's multiple things. I think there are many things about being part of my generation which have been slightly unfortunate in terms of timing, recessions, etc. But I think in terms of video games, and probably the internet as well, it's probably the most amazing generation, because I've basically from a very young age seen video games grow from their almost nascent state, and I was born in 1982, sort of becoming aware, probably 85, all the way to where they are now. So I've seen every generation, every iteration, and seen, the same with the internet, but obviously that happened when I was a little bit older. And I think that's a real privilege, and it gives you an insight into where we are now in terms of gaming and how far we've come, and just how much the medium has changed and how much the fundamental parts of it still remain the same, like the core tenets of game design and stuff that was learned in the 80s that is still important now. But yeah, I do feel kind of privileged in that respect, and that's probably what's given me this real passion and real appreciation of an art form or an entertainment medium, however you want to describe it, and it's kind of both. It's given me a real appreciation for how it's grown and changed. It's given me a real appreciation for its potential. That's what I've always loved. Ever since a young age, I always knew, even when I was a kid, it was more than just something that was fun. It was more than just playing with my He-Man figures or watching cartoons or whatever the hell else I used to do at that age, playing football. Something about games, I mean, there's something that just gravitated me towards them in a way more intense fashion. There's something that made me want to buy every single games magazine when I was a teenager. There's something that even as a university student, I was still thinking and obsessed with games and thinking about them critically. That's where I started to kind of develop those faculties, I'd say. And I think one of the main things, it's been about connection. And that can mean a couple of things. Games have allowed me to connect with other people, but they've also allowed me to connect with experiences. And a lot of people talk about travel broadening the mind, and I've been lucky enough to travel a fair bit in my life and go to quite a few countries, mainly for work, not a huge amount of holidays. I've been to loads of countries in Europe, I've been to the States, I've been to Canada, and absolutely travel does broaden the mind, but I've never been somebody who can just go and look at a view, or go and sit on a beach, or go and look at a cliff or something, and that can be a whole experience. I've always needed something more. I've got a short attention span, and I need constant stimulation, to be honest, to remain interested. And I feel like I've been to a lot of places inside these worlds and had experiences within them. And yes, they're not as fulfilling as amazing experiences with real people. I'm not trying to pretend like they are. But I feel like I've travelled to a million destinations, and I feel like I've had a million experiences inside video games. And there's always been a potential to see new things and see more. Perhaps that's sad in some way that I've experienced some of that stuff more inside virtual worlds than I have inside the real world, but at the same time, doesn't that suggest that the medium is that powerful, that it's been capable of transporting me to these places, transporting me to have these experiences? And those experiences can be outside of the television as well, or outside of the screen. You know, they're experiences with people. My best friendships have been formed over video games. I mean, there's no doubt about that. Like, you know, my oldest friend, a guy I went to university with, the guy I did a podcast with for years, and, you know, our memories of being younger are all based around sitting around playing Dreamcast games when we're 18, 19 years old. You know, all friendships I've had since have been centered around this medium, whether it's been discussion or debate around this medium, or just conversing and being excited and passionate about it, or whether it's literally sitting down and playing with people. And you can see the huge communities that grow out the fighting game community or the esports community or anything like that. And there's something magical about that. That doesn't really happen in film, perhaps in music, certainly not really in literature, not in the same way. There's something special about games in that respect. And that is why, for that reason, this connection is why games matter to me. It's why when I turn around, and I think later on I'm going to dive back into Horizon Zero Dawn, am I going to get that connection with that game that takes me to that place? Whether that's through gameplay systems, whether that's through story, whether that's through just visuals, or whether that's through experiencing something new, whether that's through admiring the ambition of designers, it doesn't matter. There's no hard and fast rules for how I get that connection with something. It can be from Res, it can be free from Micro Machines, Pro Evo, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. It doesn't matter. But feeling that connection with an entertainment medium, with a method of escapism, you know, being able to transport myself to another world, not necessarily to escape the real world either, but sort of to enhance it and to experience things that are just beyond story. There's something about mechanics. There's something about the mechanics of play. I'm someone who's like a tactile person. I like to grapple and, you know, grab things. And there's something about just being able to connect physically with the game, even though you're not necessarily grabbing it in the same way that you would something in the real world. There's something that elevates it for me above the other entertainment mediums. You know, that's not to say I haven't had far stronger emotional reactions to films, which is absolutely true, because I believe that is, you know, their forte, and, you know, far more thoughtful reactions to music. Just this week, listening to Kendrick Lamar's new album over and over again, I've been really inspired, and the way he uses words, and, you know, his absolute mastery of the language. As somebody myself who, you know, spends time writing words, I've been massively inspired and kind of thought-provoked by that stuff. But again, I mean, I'm still drawn back to gaming, and it, you know, yes, it can be frivolous, and at times even masturbatory, for want of a slightly less crass word. You are just sort of enjoying yourself for enjoyment's sake sometimes, but other times you are taken and transported. And now I'm having these amazing connections with my eldest son, who's coming up to 6 years old, and he's experiencing feelings that I experienced when I was younger, but now has somebody to talk to about it with, that can talk to him and sort of teach him at a different level, which I never had. There's something magical about games, and I use that word too often, probably magical, but I do think that I'm very lucky to have been able to experience that kind of growth and birth and adolescence and now maturity of video games, and where they're going next. There's still an incredible amount of potential and possibility. Who thought 5 or 6 years ago there'd be people filling stadiums to watch Counter-Strike Go or League of Legends? Not me, and I was working in the industry. I was writing about games every single day. It's not something that I ever even thought would blow up like it has. So where are we going to go in the next 5 years? That sense of possibility, that sense of thinking about what's coming at E3 and the experiences and I'm going to be able to have and the places I'm going to be able to go, and I guess the characters I'm going to be able to meet, that excites me, that fills me with fun. It makes me want to switch on a camera and talk. And yes, there's the other side of it as well, where I have used games as a crutch sometimes, and so many people do, to escape depression, to escape bad stuff that's happening in my life. Like, that's absolutely fine, and that's the other side of why games matter to so many people. But I think you could substitute games with plenty of things for that sort of stuff, whatever helps, right? But I want to talk about, I want to feel also on top of that about why I love this medium, why it constantly excites me, why after 12 years working in it day in, day out, I'm still not jaded. I still feel fired up. I'm still excited about E3. I'm still excited about Scorpio. I'm still excited about playing a game like PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds in a genre which I'd never really experienced before, and going, wow, there's all this, what a great idea. I feel like this idea should have existed for years, but only now have we really got the technology to support it. Being blown away by PlayStation VR and seeing what's coming later in that space. Is it just a fad? I haven't put the headset on. I'm rambling. I'm going on too much, but ultimately, video games matter to me because it's about connection. It's about connection with worlds, about spaces, about experiences, about memories, about ideas. And then hopefully in what I do for a job and what I do here, that I can help convey some of my feelings about that to other people and help them and get them to experience some of the stuff, and then elevate that debate around people who love this medium, so we can just help it all to grow and help that discussion grow. So that's the end of the video. Like I said, I mean, this isn't something I really thought about. I thought I'd just see if I can let the ideas come out as I speak, and I feel that's happened. I'm really interested to get your thoughts. I know there's a lot of people who watch this channel and are very, very thoughtful about games, that love the medium as much as I do, and I'm really keen to get your thoughts, so please do leave a comment. I think this is actually a subject that I'm going to produce some proper videos, not just me spitting into a lens. Some proper videos with some guests, and I think this is going to be as kind of a direction for the channel going forward. I've got some ideas for it. Forgive me for not having any guests on recently. I've kind of had a little bit of a tough period, but again, it's just a really therapeutic thing to be able to switch on this camera and talk into the lens and just get fired up again about games. So yeah, please do let me know your thoughts on this video. Please do let me know your thoughts on gaming and why it matters to you. I think that's going to be a really interesting thing to talk about, a fun thing to talk about, an exciting thing to talk about. And of course, if you're new to the channel, if you stumbled across this video and you like the idea of a gaming channel that talks about games from an industry and journalistic perspective, as well as celebrating the beauty and art of video games, then please do think about hitting that subscribe button. Every subscriber is a massive deal to me. I just want the channel to grow, and naturally it's going to be an organic thing that happens over time. I don't want to try and shortcut the algorithms in YouTube. Well, maybe if I could do it, guaranteed I would do it a little bit, you know what I mean? Obviously everybody wants growth however they can get it, but I believe the type of content that I'm doing is just going to grow slowly and organically over time, and probably have peaks and troughs here and there. But if you do like the idea of a channel like this, then please do think about hitting the subscribe button. Please do think about sharing this video with other people. All that normal YouTube stuff, I know it's cliche, but it really does make a difference. Alright, I've been Jon Denton. This has been State of Play. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace!